Bright suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome back to another episode of Not the Droids podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mayuri. And for today's episode, we are going to talk about Skeleton Crew episode 7. 7. I can't believe we're already here. We're
One
going to be,
more.
I know, the episode was titled We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble, which I thought was super clever and aired on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
Oof,
I
that's
know.
so weird.
I know. I keep saying it to remind myself it's
Yeah.
the new year.
I type it a lot. I don't have to say it, but I type it a lot. And I think when I have to say it, it's going to be a problem.
I saw the title of the episode and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if we're going to be home this episode." And then they opened and I was like, "What is?" At first for a second I forgot because I was like, it was kind of dark and I was like, "What is happening?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, it's the parents."
Parents.
And they were
So
so
good.
cute with their like running of the baton. They were running away to like
They were having a relay,
they were. I mean, they're not very good at being bad.
but they've never had to be. And they grow up in this society that, in this episode, we do find out is literally run by droids.
Yeah, 100% run by droids.
Like,
I love when Neil's mom, again, is the first one to be like,
use the instigator.
I'll run.
Neil's mom would start a rebellion.
I really think she would. I really enjoy where she was like the first one to want to run and they stunned her
Yeah.
instantaneously. Like it wasn't even a half thought. And the other parents were just like, she'll be fine.
It's just stunned. I really like
Um,
I like Wendell so much.
I do. I like him so much. I was gonna say, I feel like it was super symbolic that Fern's mom was the last one who actually like
Mm-hmm.
was able to evade because they were not trying to evade at all. It was like a very Rickon Stark moment where I
Yes.
was like, guys, like don't just run in a straight line away from the droids. Like weave, hide, use a
We've never
tree.
done this before.
That's true. Like they've
Good
never
effort. Good
been
effort.
rebellious. It was a good effort. They still got the beacon off,
They
which
did.
I did not expect it to fly, which actually makes sense where it's
Yeah, I
like,
was expecting more of a like a beam in the sky submitting. Not that the
yeah,
actual beacon was like a literal like device going. I thought it was like a beacon, like cell
which I
phone
think
zap.
which I think which I think is a smart choice actually because they keep saying that like no communication gets past the barrier. So
Yes.
of course, like let's have this beacon continuously
They have to
fly
get
until
something
it
that gets past the barrier to then send the message.
yeah. I thought that was a smart way to do it. But I feel like the droids clock them as soon as she caught the barrier codes. Like
Yeah.
they're like, these people are so sus. How many times do we have to keep catching them?
Yeah.
Um,
But the
I
droids don't learn their lesson either. They're like, warning, see ya.
no, my favorite is like when they're in the detention center, like after we come back from the intro and stuff, and the droids are like, "Why were you doing that?" Like, I'm sorry. Did you
Did you miss the memos?
like you're not going to help our kids, so we had to help them? And it's
It's
like they
it's the situation of, when you're at work and you have a problem that like your system has shut down and you cannot work and you have to submit a ticket to IT and IT's response is like, "Well, did you restart your computer?" And you're
yeah.
like,
What do you think I've been doing over here?
and you're just like, I've told you the problem and this is not the problem.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then it's like, let me escalate it to a supervisor. And you're like, why did we even start here? And
Yeah.
that's what's happening with these droids. They're like, we've escalated to a supervisor and we don't know anything about it anymore.
Like we can't deal with you guys anymore. Like you broke the rules, you know the rules. But yeah, so like I like how like the juxtaposition from them like desperately trying to get a message off to the kids, like going against everything they know. And
Mhm.
it just shoots to the kids, like so excited to be coming home,
Yes.
like playing in the ship, like
Yeah,
ba ba
like
ba ba ba.
they're like excited, they're playing. For once, women's the only one not playing.
Yeah. And I think that like I like that they're trying to be like, hey, it's okay. Like, don't regret
Mhm.
pushing the button. We went on a cool adventure.
Yeah.
Neil, Neil going like, I almost died half the time.
And friends like, I'm glad you pushed the button. But you could tell like they're all like, now that we know we're going home, we're good.
Like, we can appreciate the journey,
It's it's
but
a
in
it's a like reflection. Like in the moment, not so cool. Now that we're like on our way home, we're good.
that was pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
we conquered pirates, and like, I'm like, they did accomplish quite a bit, those kids.
They've
So,
seen a
like,
few planets, like they've
yeah,
explored.
I love also like I feel like they came and they had no like thought in their head about the pirates that were clearly there. Like they were just like, we're just gonna fly right past them and go
But you would
home.
like in your head, you'd be like, but you're also thinking the pirates have left, but do they actually know how to get to like? I don't think they were thinking, oh, they know how to get there too.
Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like or maybe someone just wasn't checking radar to notice that there was another ship when they came out of hyperspace.
Well, they caught it right when it came out of hyperspace.
Well, the pirates caught the kids' ship, but I don't know if that any of the kids clocked that the pirates were there.
I they don't have 33.
Oh,
They
so they
don't
don't know like how to read the screens. So like the ship probably had the notice.
which is very interesting because at the end of this episode we learn it's an Aten ship.
Oh yeah, it's a Republic Mint ship from At Aten.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm like, maybe it doesn't have that. I don't
But
know.
it's also like a lot of technology and like KB's really the only one that has figured it out and it might just not be on their minds to be like the first thing their thought is we're going home, not we should
No,
check if there's
check.
another
That's true.
like that's not
Yeah.
your if you're someone that is a pirate, you know to check to make sure no one else is around. Kids are just like, we're going home. We're getting there. We know how to get there. The ship's just going to take us. We're good.
Yeah, I feel like Jod is so desperate and like he's so unlikable now. Like he was so likable in the beginning of the series. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then I'm like, oh, hey, he's maybe trying to make sure that the kids come out unscathed. But I mean, the claw. Can we just talk about we knew it was going to come back. We knew it. We clocked it. We're like, they're learning how to use it. Like it's gonna. Did I expect it to just
No.
scoop baby girl up? Like, yes.
Also, like these other pirates know there were four kids. Like, so they're not even, I mean, or they just like don't recognize that this is the ship.
Well, I don't think they recognize the ship because the armor has come off. It looks
Yeah.
like a different. So I'll
It's a
say
whole different
looking
ship.
it like the general shape of the ship does not look super different, I will
But
say.
there's so like it's probably like there's a class of ships. They all look the same. So you're just like, oh, that's this class of ship.
Yeah, so that's where I'm just like they don't know who it is. Jod has assumed it's the children. He's figured it out, I think, from the claw.
I think he knew before then. Like, even
Oh,
though the ship
really?
looks
Who else would be going there?
a planet that has been lost for time and space, who else is figuring out how to get back?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, no one
So
else is around.
I will say the first jarring moment of this episode was I thought Jod was going to throw Brutus in the brig. And him doing that in front of all four kids who are watching, I think was the first time they actually clocked a death.
Yeah.
Like that's where they were like, "Oh, it's Jod." Cuz like they said it and like when they heard his voice, like KB was like, "Oh, Jod." which I love that she was like talking out of like a voice simulator, but I think they were thinking that like what if he helps
They had
us,
a chance. Yeah.
right? And then they were just like, "Oh, like that was so jarring for me because I feel like also we haven't seen like a full direct death like that in the whole
No,
series.
no, we
Like
haven't.
we
It was like the moment where you're like, oh, right, this is Star Wars. This isn't just a kid show.
Yeah. That's why I'm just like every time they've implied that Jod has killed someone, but they've never quite like shown or confirmed it
Yeah.
that he
It's
was
all just
killing people.
tales. Pirate tales.
Yeah, pirate tales and stuff like that. So like that was so jarring. And the moment where he's like, "Well, you'll find four frightened children on board," like
Yeah.
totally ratted them out.
Just gives them in. Like, you're fine. Don't worry about going on that ship. They don't have weapons.
I know. It was so sad. And then like the parents' message coming through, and they were like, "We're not trying to like escape. We just want to watch it."
Yeah, like they're like, we just want to see our parents.
But
And
we
like Neil's mom just being like, your brother lost his tooth and he
and he
got a
just he just wants his little brother or his
not
older
little brother.
brother. I know.
Really? Yeah.
But like that's so cute, right? Like
Then
in
Wim's
KB.
dad, they were all
Well,
very
so
heartfelt
so
messages.
that's where it's like KB's parents were like, "We know that you're scared, but just like avoid water." Like cuz they're thinking that these kids are out in the universe. So like
Hmm.
they're trying to also give them
Advice.
useful information. So like I like that they were just like, "You'll be fine, just avoid water and do some
Mhm.
maintenance." Like
Find the
um
emissary, like,
yeah, well, so that's where we actually got information on how much the parents know, right?
yes.
So Wim's dad, Wendell, was just like, "You guys were never supposed to find out about this until you
Until.
graduate."
Mhm.
So the adults on the planet know.
Yes.
So that's how they knew that they couldn't share the location.
Yes.
Um, and then I keep Farah, right? Undersecretary
Mhm.
Farah was just like, all you need to do is find a Republic emissary and they will get you home.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know how many of those are there left in the galaxy.
My thing was like she said that, and I'm like, and then when you see everything happening, I'm like, huh? They were shocked where the ship came down. I don't think an emissary's been to the planet in a
In a
very long
very
time
long
because there are
time.
people like outside watching, not realizing this is a landing base.
Oh, I know. And this is opening and they were just falling.
Yeah, and like they don't.
But I think that maybe a ship hasn't come through in like at least a generation.
If not longer.
I wonder if that ship was the last one,
Hmm.
right? Like, I wonder if they were trying to get away from the autopilot, and that's
Yeah.
why they crashed.
So,
Well, no, everyone died on board, right? Like, they were
well,
fighting and
no,
stuff.
pirates had that ship, so that ship was
Yeah.
stolen at some point, and maybe like. Don't know.
I
And
don't
like the
know
droids are
how.
still like, oh, you need to unload. Like they're
Yeah, they're
expecting a
treating
delivery.
Jod like the emissary,
So they
also.
obviously don't know who or what to expect. And there's no code to be like, show me your passcode that you're an emissary. Like
Yeah, like, how do you
it's just like
confirm?
the
Just
ship
the
just has
ship
the
is
magic
enough.
dial to come through.
The ship is enough.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's where it's like Jod threatening the kids with the lightsaber was also quite jarring.
Jod threatening and using a
A
blue
lightsaber
lightsaber.
is
Not just a
so,
lightsaber, a blue light. Like, how dare you use that color lightsaber?
I don't really, is that like
Or,
a jet? Like,
well, it's like Luke has blue.
oh, I see, I see, I
Like,
see.
the not good people tend to have red.
Yeah, that I know, but like, I didn't know if it was like super tied into the saber itself.
I don't think it is, but the fact is,
Like,
the
him
blue lightsaber
using.
is like the beacon of hope.
So, like, do you think there's still good in him, like that they left the lightsaber blue, or do you think they did that on purpose for the like juxtaposition of what you assume like that lightsaber is used for and the
I
way
think we're
he's
gonna
like,
eventually find out the history of the lightsaber, not just of Jod, but that particular lightsaber.
yeah,
I think we're getting
that
a
would be
season
cool.
two and we're gonna find out some other things.
Oh. That would be cool.
Hasn't been announced, but I think they're back at the planet, like their journey's over essentially. But I think we could possibly get a season two, and it's going to be like getting rid of these droids on this planet and how this planet now becomes part of.
Reintroduced into the galaxy.
Hmm.
I wonder,
I don't know, but
wonder.
or they're
That would
gonna
be
do how, I
interesting.
wonder how long the next episode is.
I hope it's like an hour. It's the last one. I
There's
hope
still
it's
so many
like,
things to tie up that I want to know. We still need Jod's history. I thought we were gonna. I know,
I
like
thought we were going to get it in this episode when
a
he was
lot of
like,
people did because we knew it was a Jod heavy episode, and we were all assuming we'd get his history. And now this brings back because this planet is all about droids. Do you remember like episode when Jod enters? All about how he does not like droids.
he hates droids.
So I'm wondering if that's going to come up because now he's on a planet that is literally run by droids that we know. We don't know who the supervisor is. Supervisor might be some human.
I think the supervisor is a droid because the way the supervisor like announced that a Republic emissary ship was on the way for
I don't think
like
that
a
was the
pickup.
supervisor announcing. I think it was an announcement made on behalf of the supervisor.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
ready to
because like the
say.
droids didn't say anything when he like requested the supervisor.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I'm really curious. I mean, we're definitely getting the supervisor in the next episode, obviously.
Mhm.
I thought they were going to do like a bit of exposition where he's just like, bah, 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 and then he tells them a little bit. But it was just like such a, like, I feel like Jod was just full of like these, what you believed about him was just kind of turned around. He killed someone in front of the kids. He
Mhm.
killed 33. Also, can we talk about the claimsies portion of the fight of the pirate code
Yeah.
claimsies?
We had that portion, and then when they are searching for this treasure because they're at the planet, I'm gonna wrap this all up in a nice little bow. Spoilers for you. In Treasure Planet, do you want to know where the treasure is? It's in the
Underneath the
core of the planet.
Oh, so this is the exact same thing.
It's literally like
In the core.
there is a doorway to inside the planet where the treasure is. Guess where the
Oh,
treasure is on Aten?
in the
Inside the
core.
planet in the vaults.
Yeah, there are so many vaults filled. There's so much money on that planet.
That
I
scene
like
where they're just like falling on him, like when he's
that.
making it rain with credits. That must also hurt. Those
It
are
has to
metal.
hurt. But his unhinged laughter, like
Yes.
finally, he has finally achieved the bounty or the not the bounty, but like the booty
Yeah.
that he has been searching for.
I was just watching him go so unhinged and in my head going, and you played Dumbledore.
I just like, I mean, he's a great actor of like
Oh,
his
he's so
face,
good.
like that whole portion of him like touching the money and then like bathing in it basically.
Not even the part where I was thinking about it when he's telling all the kids to sit down and he's like losing it on them. I'm like, these kids must have been terrified.
I mean, imagine like you thought he was a nice guy, and then all of a sudden he's just like ripping into. And at first they thought he was ripping into Neil about how he jabbers, and then he's like, "It's not just him; it's all of you." And you have that moment
I
where
have
you're
a
like,
headache. I was just like,
he was pretending
so
the
long.
whole time, the whole time, and you see Wim like, and the fact that he's just like, "I'm just gonna." chop you to pieces.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh God.
the wild
Yes.
ride. And
I and then the end of the episode, it was so cute, like the reunion. The
the
reunion
reunion was cute,
was
but then we end the episode and he has a freaking lightsaber to the parents after threatening the kids that he was going to chop up their parents.
and that's why I'm like,
And he's
what
like,
is
"Look, I have a video now. I know what your parents look like."
and so like do we assume he is an evil pirate and is gonna do whatever he wants? Because they like can't let him off the planet, like by their standards of like You know what I mean? Like the adults know the secret and they're protecting the secret actively. So like what's gonna happen when this is a
And he's
pirate
told them, he was like, I need to contact my ship. And they're like, so
and
they already
he
know there's a ship in orbit and they know.
but he obviously knows they know a way to get
Yeah.
a communication beacon off the planet because they he saw it.
Yeah.
So I am just so curious what's going to happen and how are they going to tell us
How are they
his
wrapping this all up in one
backstory.
episode? In one episode.
It has to be a longer episode, but like are we going to get his backstory? Like how is that going to work out?
I don't know.
And also like he has enough of the force in him. He got out of the restraints. He could have gotten out of them at any point, but again, he did it when it was most convenient for
Yes.
him. So it's just like, how much control of the force does he actually have? And can they contain him?
Yeah.
As well as they have to get rid of the pirates.
They have to get rid of the pirates.
What are they going to do about the pirates?
What questions do you want answered in the next episode, if not next season?
I need to know who the super, like, what's the deal with the supervisor? Is it a real person? Oh, sorry. Is it a droid? I want to know where Jod came from, right? Like, because is his distrust, it has to be the Clone Wars, right? His distrust of droids.
Not necessarily.
So, like, where does that, what is his backstory? Like, why is he the way he is? Especially if he's force sensitive and he knows the teachings of the Jedi, right? Like, he's been spewing bastardized versions, kind of like
Mm,
letting go. Or is
I'm
that just
not
like
gonna say
known in the
he knows the
galaxy
teachings. He knows of
of the
it's like
teachings?
when you're like, I recognize that Bible verse, but I haven't ever studied the Bible.
That's
Where you kind
true.
of like you're like the love of money is, but it's actually like this whole longer thing. Like,
Yeah. I think those are the two main questions I have. Like, I'm not really, and then of course, like, what's gonna happen to At-Aten
mhm.
if Jod leaves? Like,
I
is Jod
want
leaving?
I want to know the history of that lightsaber. I also
Of course you
want
do.
I do. I want to know where it came
Like,
from
where
and
did it
whose it
came from?
is. I would also like to know, I want women Wendell's family history. I want a little more about them
His mom.
because I really like them.
I like them. I did they confirm that his mom died?
We just
No,
know she's not in the picture,
she's gone. Like she,
but it like speaks to how they are. Because and after like the initial episode, we were like, Wim's dad is not a great, and like now seeing him, I'm like, oh, I think we had it wrong. I think he's just doing the best he can. Like,
yeah.
I want more information about like KB's family and
Oh,
the
I love
accident and
them.
like KB's accident. I want to
I
know.
would love to know, like, what was the actual accident? Because it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like there are a lot of accidents and stuff like that
Yeah, I want
on
to
at
know
Adam.
what caused Atten to like cut themselves off
And
completely.
why is at Atten different than the other treasure planets?
Yeah. And what about these other treasure planets?
So
They've referenced
here's
them.
so we know a few things about at Atten. Like we don't know what's going to happen, but we know a few things because of going to the other similar planet. So like I was reading a thing and someone said, "Hey, remember like Neil was very specifically shown how to get the cannon on top of the school to open."
Hmm.
I wonder if that's going to come back and be like part of the like
Yeah.
there has to be a fight
Yeah. And they
sequence.
even like mentioned when as they were like coming into the planet, they mentioned their friend on the other planet and how it was like going into so we
So
had a
like
little
so
throwback.
that's where I'm like I wonder if like they're going to take some of the knowledge that they know cuz Ad Aden is not a combative planet, like they're not a
No.
combative people, but the kids know a little bit about it
Yep.
enough. that if they needed to figure out how to defend themselves, but then it's just like, are the droids the ones that would activate that sort of thing? Or are the droids after this long like not
And is the reason this other planet has fallen into disarray, it was there was an uprising against droid?
against the droids? Because we didn't see droids on that planet. Like,
Mm-mm.
did the droids cause the issue?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I'm just like, I'm also so curious about why At-Aten has preserved itself versus the other planets.
Yes. And is it because they have this protective nebula that the others don't?
I wonder if the others just didn't have this specific one, and maybe that is why At-Aten, because it's not on the planet, it's around it. You're right,
Yeah.
it's nebula. But is that the reason the mint is on At-Aten?
Mm, true. Possibly.
And that's why it's the jewel. It is the
Oh,
jewel.
many questions.
I know. That's why I'm like, how are they going to wrap this up in one episode? They haven't announced a second season. Um, I need
We
a
will
second
find
season.
out next week.
I know. I'm so stressed. But, until
Remember,
then, we're not the droids you're looking for.
but we're the droids you're gonna get.